Hi all, welcome to Learn Code Repeat. Today we'll be looking at day 2 of the October challenge. The name of the problem is combination sum, and this has been asked a lot by Uber and Snapchat. Let's look into the problem. So the problem says given an array of distinct integers candidates and a target integer target, return a list of all unique combination of candidates where the chosen number sum to target. You may return the combinations in any order. The same number may be chosen from the candidates an unlimited number of times. Two combinations are unique if the frequency of at least one of the chosen numbers is different. So the example is candidate is equal to 2367 and the target is 7. So we need to find out from this candidate number, we have to select number such that their sum is equal to the target. In this case the target is 7, so it should be 7, and the same number can be used multiple times. So here if you see in the output is 2 to 3 because 2 plus 2 plus 3 is 7, and they have used from this candidate number they have used 2 twice and 3 once, and apart from that the other number that forms 7 is 7 itself. So let's analyze this example, right? Let's see how we can arrive at the logic. So if you see the input candidates that was given in the example was 2 3 6 7, right? Now if the question would have been find out the total number of elements that forms the target as 7, then we could have used dynamic programming here to find number of elements, right? But here they want the actual list whose sum forms the target, right? So 2 2 3 forms target, so they want the actual elements in the list, right? So here, right, let me write down here 2 3 6 7. Okay, so these are the numbers, right? Now each number can be used multiple times. Okay, in the question they have given that it can be used indefinite number of times, right? So that means of this, right, let's say this way, right? So if I start with 2, right, so now I have used 2, so here the target was 7. Okay, so if I use 2 as my first number, so my target now becomes 7 minus 2 is 5, so 5 is my target. The other option that I have at this point is to use 3. If I use 3 as the first number from this list, then my target now becomes 7 minus 3, which is 4. The other option is that I can use 6 as my first number. In that case 7 minus 6 is 1, the remaining target. And the last option is that I can use 7. Okay, if 7 is used, then the target becomes 0. Now if the target becomes 0, then that means we can use that list, right, as part of the result. So 7 is a part of the result, right? So that we have included here. Okay, now again within this, right, we have these 4 options, right, 2 3 6 7, right? So once I have selected 2, again I have the option of selecting 2. Okay, if I select 2, then it is 5 minus 2, the remaining target is 3. Now here if I select 3, the remaining target will be 5 minus 3 2, and if I select 6, okay, the remaining target will be 6 minus 5, or rather 5 minus 6, which is minus 1. So this cannot be used anymore because it's less than 0, right? It goes beyond 7, right? Then the other option is 7. So 5 minus 7 is, if I use 7, then the remaining will be minus 2. So even this cannot be used, right? So there won't be any more branches from these two, okay, because it is less than 0. So we cannot use more combination in this two. However, here it is positive number, so we can still go ahead with this, right? So let's take this branch and then we'll go with this branch, right? So here also again I will have 4 options, right? Again I can add 2. If I add 2, then 3 minus 2 is 1, so my remaining target will be now 1. If I add 3, so 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, so this can be a positive combination, so that is 2 2 3. Okay, so 2 2 3, that's what it's written here. So this is one of the possible combination. And then if I use 6, right, it will be 3 minus 6, which is minus 3. If I use 3, if I use 6, then the remaining is minus 3, so I cannot go any further from here, right? Similarly, if I use 7, the remaining will be 3 minus 7, which is minus 4. Here also I cannot go any further, right? Now this was the another branch, right? Let me draw it here. So here in this branch also I can use 2, okay. So if I use 2, the remaining will be 0 in this case, right? So since it's 0, this is also valid, 2 3 2, correct. So this becomes a valid combination, but 2 2 3 is already there, and if I say 2 3 2, that will be a duplicate combination of this, right, because it's 2 times 2 and 1 3, right. So we have to avoid this kind of combination, right. So to avoid this, right, what can we do here is that so let us say my index is 0 1 2 3, right. So if I am currently at one index, I should always look forward, I should not go backward, right. So here when I was at this branch, I was at index 1, right. When I go in the sub branch from here, I should go from 1, I should not start with 0, okay. So if we do that way, we can avoid the duplicate numbers, okay. So here it will start with 1. So if I am using 3, so 1 is 3, right. So here if I am using 3, then 2 minus 3 is minus 1, so this cannot be used. Then I will use 6, again 2 minus 6 is minus 4, I cannot use this. And if I use 7, then 2 minus 7 is minus 5, I cannot use this. So this branch is also ending here, this ends here, so the only combination from this is this. Similarly we can do it for the other one, right. So if you see, what we are doing here is we are doing a DFS, okay, but while doing a depth first search, we are checking whether my I value. So let us say if my method, in the method if I am passing the index, so in my for loop my I will always start with index, and then it will go till the less than n, I is less than n, and then I plus plus, okay. And then again we will call the recursive DFS passing the same I value, okay. So that is one case. Second is we have to check whether the target should never be less than 0. If the target is less than 0, then recursively when we are calling the DFS, we can return from there, okay. So that way we can call the DFS, go into this once 2 is done, right. Once that 2 is done, then we can go back and do the next iteration for the next index. So that way we can solve this problem, okay. Now here, since we are doing it for each and every number again and again, right, it starts with 2. So in the branch of 2, it will start with all the numbers for 2 3 6 7, so index of 0 till n minus 1, right. Similarly if it is 3, then it will start with index till the end, right. So it will go on doing it this way, right. So what will be the complexity in terms of time, right. So the time complexity here will be, since there are, let us say in this array there are n numbers, so n raised to, I will have to do this for till the target is formed or it is less than the target, right. So it will be n raised to t, that will be the complexity of this, okay. So let us code this algorithm. So first we have to declare the result list where we are going to store the result. Here I will call the DFS. So I will need, in the DFS method I will need the result where I am going to store. I will need for each combination, right, I will need an empty list, right. So let me pass on an empty list. I need the index first, so my start index is 0, and the target, what is the target. At the end I will return the result that is getting populated, right. Let me declare the DFS here. Now if my target is 0, in that case I need to add those element in the list, in this list, into my result list. So I will do result dot add new array list and return. So here I am creating a new array list from the list, otherwise in my for loop when I am going over the list and I am removing it, I am doing the backtracking, this will get empty. So let's add the logic for that. So list dot add the actual candidates. I need to pass the actual candidates as well, which is this one. So let me add it here. Candidates of I. So I'm adding the current candidate here. It will start with index. This is less than candidates dot length. Yeah, that's correct. So I starts with the index value and I is less than candidates dot length I plus plus. First we'll add the current candidate into the list, then again we'll do a DFS on that. So we'll pass the same list candidates, and the target will now become target minus candidates of I. Okay, and after that list dot remove minus 1. So we are removing the previous element that we added in the list. This is needed for the backtracking purpose. So in our example here, initially for each element, right, in the candidate we first went over 2, then we went over 3, then 6, then 7, right. So what we did actually was we added 2 into the list. Once the whole subtree is covered for 2, then we removed 2 from the list and we added 3, then we go over through the subtree. Similarly inside 2, right, we added again 2, and once this 2 is covered, then we removed 2 and we added 3. So this was 2 and 3, right. So we are doing the backtracking here, and that's the same thing that this line will do, list dot remove. Now there was also one more condition where my target should be always less than 0, right. I can either add that condition here as a base condition, if target is less than 0 then return, or I can add in my for loop itself, right. Let's see what is the difference if I do here or if I add it into the for loop. Target is less than 0, then I am doing continue. Okay, currently I will just comment this out and will submit this and see what is the difference between these two. Let's see whether everything is fine. So let's run this and see whether it works for the sample test case. Okay, here it's 2232. There are multiple elements coming twice, so oh, okay. So here I was passing index instead of I, so I'll write I here and let's run the code again. Now it's fine. Let's submit this code and the code is accepted. Let's check the runtime. So it takes 8 milliseconds and it's 22% faster. Okay, let's now change the code, and instead of now adding the if condition here, let's remove it from here and add it into the for loop itself, and let's see what is the difference in the runtime. Submit it and accepted. Let's see the runtime. It is 5 milliseconds and now it's 45% faster. So it's almost double as fast as the previous one. So if you see here why the runtime is increasing is because if I add the if condition here, I don't have to do all these things. So even though within the DFS I am again doing a return, but there is cost involved in adding the element into the list and then again removing it. So that operation is not happening. That's the reason why it's getting faster. But overall time complexity will be same, that is O of n raised to t. Hope you liked the video. If you have any questions with respect to the solution, please write down in the comment section, and to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.